Close your eyes for a second and think of an iconic 80s luxury sedan. Chances are you've thought of exactly this same car. It's a Mercedes-Benz E-Class from the 124 generation. And although these cars were built 30 or 40 years ago, they're still everywhere. It's a completely different world today where brands such as Lexus or Audi or BMW have established themselves as proper luxury cars. But back in the 80s and early 90s, if you wanted luxury, the first thing you thought of was the three-pointed star that is right on the hood of this car. So what made Mercedes so great back then, and is it any different now? That's what I want to talk about in this video, about this Mercedes E250 Diesel from the 124 chassis. Now, I want to state the obvious. This car is beat up. It's got damage in almost every single body panel. It's dirty, it's very dirty. And I'm filming this video in the middle of a fields in Argentina. But I chose this car specifically because it represents what these cars are now. These cars are still used, they're still daily drivers, and they're still beat up every single day. The person who owns this car daily drives it. It's a 1995 car. It's the last year that the W124 was produced, before it gave way to the W210. But still, even though this car is 28 years old, it's daily driven and it delivers exactly the same comfort that it delivered the day it left the factory. These cars are not museum pieces, and they're not likely to be so for a very, very, very long time. For every single W124 that is restored right now, there are maybe 3, 5, 10, I don't know, who are still out there being driven. There's a reason why these cars and their predecessors, the W123s, were called tanks. Going a little bit over the history of this car, the W124 chassis was introduced in November 1984. It was produced until well into 1995. This car in particular, as it's an E250 diesel, has the inline 5, of course, diesel engine, 20 valves, 2.5 liters of displacement, and it sends out the enormous power figure of 113 horsepower and 173 newton meters of torque to the rear wheels. In case it wasn't overly obvious, I was being sarcastic. This car is very slow and does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in around 15 seconds, but it won't brake. By the way, if you've reached this point in the video, would you mind subscribing? That helps a lot with YouTube recommending my videos and ensures that you don't miss a single one. Thank you very much. Something incredible about this Mercedes diesel is that even though it is 30 years old, it starts right away. The two front windows are one touch, which is something that I should point out. And the air conditioning is among the strongest air conditionings I've ever had in a car. Driving this car is a very calm experience. The suspension is very soft. The car just sort of rides along and you don't feel like you need to be pushing on the gas pedal all the time, which makes sense because it's not a very fast car either. Although I should note that the inline 5-cylinder diesel does sound pretty well under acceleration, even though it is very slow and though it is a diesel. I want to use this stoplight to show you just how fast this car accelerates. Something that I've always thought was very cool about these Mercedeses is that they only have one windshield wiper, but it moves so that it covers all the glass surface. I'll show you right now. Look at how pretty Buenos Aires is this time of year. I hope you can appreciate it in the camera. Now we're gonna go onto the highway and you'll be able to hear the 5-cylinder engine again. This is not a sporty car by any means, but as I said before, this is a perfect daily driver. Fuel consumption in this car is very low, and I did use it to travel a bit, and it's a very comfortable car. Although you do miss some modern comfort features. One of the most interesting things about these cars are the interiors, because they're almost all of them absolutely immaculate, no matter how much abuse they take. Even these, which have this sort of white leather. When I picked up this car that I got from my friend, I found this flute in the back seat, which of course shows that my friend has kids and they travel in the back all the time. And to be honest, there was also a used diaper that I think my friend forgot under the seat, and the car smelled. But it doesn't smell anymore, and it shows how much these cars can take the abuse in their interiors. But when it comes to the equipment that these cars have, as this is one of the later model cars, you've got dual airbags. In this case, the passenger airbag means you've got no glove box, but never mind. You've got a 6-disc CD changer, which at the time was very cool, dual zone climate control, the typical E-Class folding down the rear headrest button, 4 electric windows, electric mirrors, electric locks, and the typical automatic gearbox that Mercedes had at the time. And the typical 80s, 90s Mercedes dashboard. Also to note is the electric sunroof, which was also very typical of the Mercedeses of the time. Remember, this was a full luxury car, which is why you can find so much wood in here. I think wood went from being all the rage to being incredibly uncool, and now it's coming back. I mean, these interiors look fantastic with the wood. So all in all, I don't think I could have chosen a much better daily driver for my stay here in Argentina. Yes, these cars may be slow, and to modern standards they may be polluting and unsafe, but these cars are incredibly comfortable and they take on any uneven road, perhaps better than many modern urban SUVs. And although the outside of this car may be rugged, the interior, which has been of course subjected to the same abuse, shows just how much these cars can take. Although if I were looking for a classic, I'd probably choose something a bit more fun and sporty. These cars are just as iconic as they get as they enter now the classic car world. I'm sure we will see them in movies, in TV shows, and in music videos going forward, perhaps even 100 years from now, as these represent the time period where these cars were created so well. And in some way, it's like a time capsule. I can drive these cars and travel back in time to a time that I didn't even know. I was born in 1996, a year after this car entered production. And yet, I drive this car and I feel like I'm in the late 80s or early 90s. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did driving this car. And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like it, comment, and subscribe for more content on this channel.